Celebrating the glory that is American poetry. We're in the midst of rich literary country here. Moby Dick was started by Herman Melville up in Pittsfield, and Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote Scarlet Letter not too far from here. Emily Dickinson is just off to the east, and Robert Frost to the north. And our poet laureate, Mr. Donald Hall, is not too far from here up in New Hampshire. Meryl Streep joins me now to read a little selection of American poems. Riding Lesson by Henry Taylor. I learned two things from an early riding teacher. He held a nervous filly in one hand and gestured with the other, saying, "Listen, keep one leg on one side, the other leg on the other side, and your mind in the middle." He turned and mounted. She took 2 steps, then left the ground, I thought for good, but she came down hard, humped her back, swallowed her neck, and threw her rider as you'd throw a rock. He rose, brushed his pants, and caught his breath and said, "See, that's the way to do it. When you see they're going to throw you, get off."
Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clear blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things.
A Blessing by James Wright. Just off the highway to Rochester, Minnesota, twilight bounds softly forth in the grass, and the eyes of those 2 Indian ponies darken with kindness. They have come gladly out of the willows to welcome my friend and me. We step over the barbed wire into the pasture where they have been grazing all day alone. They ripple tensely. They can hardly contain their happiness that we have come. They bow shyly as wet swans. They love each other. There is no loneliness like theirs. At home once more, they begin munching the young tufts of spring in the darkness. I would like to hold the slenderer one in my arms, for she has walked over to me and nuzzled my left hand. She is black and white. Her mane falls wild on her forehead, and the light breeze moves me to caress her long ear that is delicate as the skin over a girl's wrist. Suddenly I realize that if I stepped out of my body, I would break into blossom.
Alley Violinist by Robert Lax. If you were an alley violinist and they threw you money from 3 windows and the first note contained a nickel and said, "When you play, we dance and sing," signed a very poor family, and the second one contained a dime and said, "I like your playing very much, signed a sick old lady, and the last one contained $1 and said, "Beat it." Would you stand there and play? Beat it?
Hoeing, John Updike. I sometimes fear the younger generation will be deprived of the pleasures of hoeing. There is no knowing how many souls have been formed by this simple exercise. The dry earth, like a great scab, breaks, revealing moist, dark loam, the pea root's home, a fertile wound perpetually healing. How neatly the green weeds go under, the blade chops the earth new, ignorant the wise boy who has never performed this simple, stupid, and useful wonder.
What I Learned from My Mother by Julia Kasdorf. I learned from my mother how to love the living, to have plenty of vases on hand in case you have to rush to the hospital with peonies cut from the lawn, black ants still stuck to the buds. I learned to save jars large enough to hold fruit salad for a whole grieving household, to cube home-canned pears and peaches, to slice through maroon grape skins and flick out the sexual seeds with a knife point. I learned to attend viewings even if I didn't know the deceased, to press the moist hands of the living, to look in their eyes and offer sympathy as though I understood loss even then. I learned that whatever we say means nothing. What anyone will remember is that we came. I learned to believe I had the power to ease awful pains materially, like an angel, like a doctor. I learned to create from another's suffering my own usefulness. And once you learn how to do this, you can never refuse. To every house you enter, you must offer healing. A chocolate cake you baked yourself, the blessing of your voice, your chaste touch.
As befits a man, Langston Hughes. I don't mind dying, but I'd hate to die all alone. I want a dozen pretty women to holler, cry, and moan. I don't mind dying, but I want my funeral to be fine. A row of long, tall mamas fainting, fanning, and crying. I want a fishtail hearse and 16 fishtail cars, a big brass band, and a whole truckload of flowers. And when they let me down into the clay, I want the women to holler, please don't take him away. Oh, don't take our daddy away.
The Wish to Be Generous by Wendell Berry. All that I serve will die. All my delights, the flesh kindled from my flesh, garden and field, the silent lilies standing in the woods, the hill, the whole earth, all will burn in man's evil or dwindle in its own age. Let the world bring on me the sleep of darkness without stars, so I may know my little light taken from me into the seed of the beginning and the end. So I may bow to mystery and take my stand on the earth like a tree in a field, passing without haste or regret towards what will be my life, a patient, willing descent into the grass.
Poems by American poets Henry Taylor, Mary Oliver, John Updike, Wendell Berry, James Wright, Langston Hughes, Robert Lax, Julia Kasdorf. Thank you, Meryl. Please welcome back the Waylon Jennings.